Okay, sentence number 9. Upadana paccaya bhavo. Because there is clinging as condition, becoming arises. So here bhava is of two kinds. The first one is kama bhava and the second one is upapatti bhava. So kama bhava means cetana and covetousness, etc., concomitant with it. Actually, kama bhava means kama, both wholesome and unwholesome, and upapatti bhava means rebirth. So what is rebirth? Rebirth is the arising of resultant mental aggregates and also the arising of material properties born of karma or caused by karma. So both kinds of bhava are applicable here in sentence number 9. So upadana is a condition for karma bhava. Because there is upadana, there is clinging, we do acts of wholesome or unwholesome, and so upadana is a condition for becoming bhava. And also upadana is a condition for upapatti bhava. So upapatti bhava means a rebirth. When there is clinging, there is the action, and when there is action, there is the reaction as the rebirth, and so upadana, or clinging, is a condition also for upapatti bhava. But in number 10, bhava paccaya jati, because there is becoming as condition, birth arises. So here bhava means karma bhava only, and not upapatti bhava. That is because upapatti bhava is the same as jati here. Jati is birth, upapatti is also birth. So since upapatti bhava is jati, jati cannot be conditioned for jati. So here by bhava we mean only karma bhava, or just karma process. So karma process is a condition for jati, or just karma is a condition for jati. So condition here means a producing cause, because karma gives results both at the moment of rebirth and also during life. Jati paccaya jara maranam. Because there is birth as condition, aging and death arise. So aging and death is conditioned by birth. Birth is a basis for aging and death. So long as there is rebirth, so long as there is the existence, there is aging and death. So aging and death are conditioned by birth. And then birth is a condition for sorrow, lamentation, bodily pain, mental pain, and burning in the mind. Now, why are they separated? Aging and death as one group, and sorrow and others as another group. They are separated because the first group, aging and death, is the inevitable result of birth. Whenever there is birth, there are aging and death. So once you have birth, you cannot avoid aging or getting old and death. So they are the unavoidable results of birth. But sorrow, lamentation and so on may or may not arise for a being. For example, those who are born as Brahmas, they do not have sorrow, they do not have lamentation, bodily pain, mental pain, also they do not have burning in the mind, they do not have. So they may not have soul lamentation and so on in the world of Brahmas. So these are the incidental results or consequences of birth. That is why they are separated. But for us, for human beings, I think there can always be sorrow, lamentation, bodily pain, mental pain, and burning in the mind. Thus there is the arising of this whole mass of suffering. So this arising of whole mass of suffering means arising of suffering not mixed with any pleasantness or happiness, and it is the arising of suffering and not of a being or not of happiness and so on. The Pali word kevalasa, kevala means whole, or it can mean not mixed with other things. So we should understand what each factor represents so that we can understand the relationship between the conditioning factor and the factor that is conditioned. And in order to understand what is represented by each factor, you have to be familiar with past chapters, especially the first chapter and the second chapter. So it is good to revive your memory if your memory has gone rusty. So the chart on the screen is very useful to remember the 89 or 121 types of consciousness, and I hope you have not lost the small cards also. You should use that card every now and then so that you remember the types of consciousness. So when I say unwholesome consciousness, then the first column should be in your mind. And then second, third and fourth column, the three columns are what? Rootless, right? Rootless consciousness. And then the next three columns, sense sphere consciousness, kama, vachara, sobhana, sense sphere, beautiful consciousness. And then three columns with 5 each, rupa, vachara, form sphere consciousness. And then another 3 columns with 4 each, arupa, vachara, consciousness, formless sphere consciousness. And then the next remaining columns represent the supramundane consciousness. The first 4 are magga consciousness, and the last 4 phala consciousness. So if you have this in mind, then you can easily identify the types of consciousness whenever you see in your reading. So now we have come to the end of the formula of the dependent origination, and whatever is happening in us is included in this dependent origination. So we see something, and when we see something, what is there? Seeing is there, right? So along with seeing, what is there? Contact, right? So when there is contact, there will always be feeling, and when there is feeling, there will be craving, invariably or not. So we'll come to that later. So after understanding the representations of the different factors, there are some more things to know about the formula of dependent origination. They are given in the manual, so please turn to page 299. It should be understood that there are 3 periods, so that we must understand: 12 factors, 20 modes, 3 connections, 4 groups, 3 rounds, and 2 roots. So have the formula handy with you. First 3 periods. So present, past, or past, present and future. So ignorance and karmic formations belong to the past. So avidya and sankhara belong to the past. And birth and decay and death belong to the future. Jati, jara, marana, they belong to the future. The intermediate 8, that means vijnana, nama, rupa, salayatana, phassa, vedana, tanha, upadana, and bhava. The intermediate 8 factors belong to the present. Thus, there are 3 periods. So, the dependent origination covers 3 periods or 3 lives. The first one, number 1 and number 2, avidya and sankhara, belong to the past, and then vijnana, nama, rupa, salayatana, phassa, vedana, upadana belong to the present. Bhava also, some part of bhava belong to the present and another part belong to the future, and jati and jara, marana belong to future. So the Paṭiccasamuppāda or dependent origination covers 3 lives, but it does not mean that you have to go through 3 lives to experience all 12 factors. Now please do not misunderstand this. Although Paṭiccasamuppāda covers 3 lives, you don't have to go through 3 lives to experience all 12 factors. In this very life, you experience all these 12 factors. Don't you have ignorance? And don't you do wholesome karma or unwholesome karma? And don't you have consciousness and so on? So in this very life, you experience all those 12 factors. But the ignorance and karma are said to belong to the past because we take this life as present. So when we take this life as present, then what causes this life must be in the past. So avidya and sankhara, ignorance and mental formations, are said to belong to the past time. But this does not mean that we don't experience these 2 at all in this present life. Whatever ignorance and karma formations we have or we do here will become past when the future becomes present. So when we are reborn in the next life, then the ignorance and karma formations we experience here will belong to the past time. So it is important that you do not misunderstand that you have to go through 3 lives in order to experience the Paṭiccasamuppāda. And the Venerable Buddhaghosa, who explained the dependent origination in detail, never said that you have to go through 3 lives in order to experience all these. What he said was just like this manual, that there are 3 periods in this doctrine of Paṭiccasamuppāda. So the jati, jara, marana is said to belong to the future, right here. But didn't we have jati? Since we have jati, we are now experiencing jara, and then we will experience marana at the end of the life. So we will experience them in this very life. But when we acquire what is called karma bhava, that means actually karma, then this karma will produce future aggregates and future results. So the future results are in the form of rebirth and aging and death and so they are said to belong to the future time. So all these 12 factors we experience in this very life. And 12 factors, they are easy to understand. 12 factors are just avijja, 1, sankhara, 2, vijnana, 3, namarupa, 4, salayatana, 5, phassa, 6, vedana, 7, tanha, 8, uparana, 9, bhava, 10, jati, 11, and jara and marana are taken as one. Jara, marana, 12. So these 12 are called 12 factors. These are the 12 factors which a bodhisattva contemplated on, or bodhisattva practiced vipassana on the eve of his enlightenment. And then 4 groups. So, by taking ignorance and karmic formations, craving, clinging, and existence are also taken. Likewise, by taking craving, clinging, and existence, ignorance and karmic formations are also taken. By taking birth and decay and death, the 5 effects, consciousness and so on, are also taken. Now, in order to understand this, first, we have to understand the 3 rounds. So let us go to the 3 rounds at the bottom of the page 300 or on page 301. Now the 3 rounds. Number 1, ignorance, craving and clinging belong to the round of defilements. They are called rounds because they go round and round. Because there is the clinging of defilements, there is the karmic existence, or there is karma, and because there is karma, there is results, and so they go on and on like this. So they are called rounds. So number 1, ignorance, craving and clinging belong to the round of defilements. So they are called round of defilements. And number 2, one part of existence known as karmic existence, that means karma bhava, and karmic formations, sankhara, belong to the round of karma. They are karma, so they belong to the round of karma. And one part of existence known as rebirth existence, that is upapati bhava, and the rest belong to the round of results. So we must understand these 3 in order to understand the 4 groups. So in the handouts, you turn to the next page. Factors and 3 vattas. In Pali, they are called vattas. So avijja and sankhara, they belong to past, vijnana, nama, rupa, salajatana, phassa, vedana, they are present. And tanha, uparana, kama bhava, they are present. And upapati bhava, jadi, jara, marana, they are future. So avijja belongs to kilesa vata, round of defilement. So ignorance belongs to round of defilement, and karma formations belong to round of karma. And then consciousness, mind and matter, 6 spaces, contact and feeling belong to vipaka vada, round of results. And tanha belongs to round of defilements, kilesa vada. Upadana belongs to, again, kilesa vada, round of defilements. And kama bhava belongs to kama vada, round of karma. And then upapati bhava belongs to vipaka vata, round of results. And jadi belongs to the same vipaka vata, and jaramarana belongs to vipaka vata. So looking at this page, how many past causes do you see? avijja and sankhara, two past causes. Now the manual explains that by taking ignorance and karmic formations, craving, clinging and existence are also taken. That means if you take one belonging to a certain vata, you have to take the others also that belong to that vata. So actually among the 12 factors, avijja and sankhara are the past causes. But when you take avijja, you also take tanha and upadana, because they belong to the same round. So in order to see clearly, the kilesa vata are printed in capital letters. So when you take the capital letter, you take the other capital letters also. So when you take avijja, you also take tanha and upadana, because they belong to the same round. So when you take avijja, you take tanha and upadana, and when you take sankhara, you also take kama bhava. So there are altogether how many causes in the past? 5, right? Avijja, sankhara, tanha, upadana, kama bhava. So there are 5 causes in the past. And then present results, they are as stated there, viññāna, namarupa, salājatana, phassa, vedana. So they belong to present period, and they are the results of the avijja and sankhara. So they are called vipaka vata, round of results. And then present causes. So there are only 3 present causes here, tanha, upadana and kama bhava. But when you take tanha and upadana, you also take avijja, the first one, because they belong to the same vata. And when you take kama bhava here, you also take sankhara there, because they belong to the same round round of karma. So here we get how many present causes? Tanha, upadana, kama bhava, avijja and sankhara. 5 present causes. So although there are only 3 present causes in the formula, we must understand that there are 5 present causes. Because when you take tanha and upadana, you must also take avijja, because they belong to the same round. And when you take kama bhava, you must also take sankhara, which belongs to the same round. So there are 5 present causes, namely tanha, upadana, kama bhava, avijja and sankhara. Now future results. Upapatti bhava, jati, marana. Now it is said that jati, jara, marana is the same as viññāna, namarupa, salājatana, phassa, vedana. So when we say jati, jara, marana, we mean just 5, beginning with viññāna. So there are 5 future results, namely viññāna, namarupa, salājatana, phassa, vedana. Because jati and jara, marana are the same as viññāna and others. So we have 5 past causes, 5 present results, 5 present causes, and 5 future results. The 4 groups means these 4 groups. Past cause 1 group, present result 1 group, present cause 1 group, future result 1 group. So we have 4 groups. And since there are 5 in each of the groups, when we add them up together, we get 20. So there are 20 modes. They are called modes, and the 20 modes. And then there are 3 connections and 4 groups. 3 connections. Between past cause and present results, there is 1 connection. And between present results and present causes, another connection, and between present causes and future results, another connection. So there are 3 connections between first causes and present effects, that is between sankhara and vijnana. There is 1 connection, and then the second connection is between present results and present causes. That means between vedana, feeling, and tanha, craving. And then third connection is between present causes and future effects, that is between bhava or existence and rebirth or jati. So there are 3 connections. So 3 connections and 3 rounds, and 3 rounds are round of defilements, round of karma, and round of results. Round of defilements are avijja, tanha, and upadana. And round of karma are sankhara and kama bhava. And round of results are vijnana, namarupa, salayatana, phassa, vedana, and upapati bhava, jadi, jara, marana. And then 2 roots, ignorance and craving, should be understood as the 2 roots. The 2 roots of dependent origination are avijja and tanha. So for the first part, avijja is the root, and for the second part, tanha is the root. So they are called 2 roots of existence, or 2 roots of Paṭiccasamuppāda, or dependent origination. So ignorance is called the root from the past extending into the present, which reaches its culmination in feeling. So until feeling, it is the root. Craving is called the root from the present extending into the future, because tanha is that we experience here, which reaches its culmination in the last one, decay and death, or jara marana. Now this is the dependent origination in due order, or in regular order. And in the discourses and also in the Abhidhamma, the reverse, or the cessation, is also taught. Here the original author of the manual did not give us the formula for the cessation, but he just said in a verse, it is on page 302, the section 10, by the destruction of these roots, the round ceases. He said just that. So that means we must understand the cessation formula also. The cessation formula runs something like this: with the total cessation of ignorance, there is the cessation of karma formations. With the total cessation of karma formations, there is the cessation of consciousness. With the total cessation of consciousness, there is the cessation of mind and matter, and so on. So in this way, there is the cessation of this mess of suffering. Now, we want to understand what is the condition of ignorance? Now, ignorance is not the first cause. In Buddhism, there is no such thing as a first cause, because there is always a conditioning or conditionality going on, and so whatever arises is always conditioned by some other things, and so there can be no first cause. Although there is no first cause, this dependent origination begins with avijja or ignorance. So we may think that avijja is the first cause of, say, beings or something like that, but that is not true. So Buddha said that the first cause cannot be known or cannot be understood. We cannot say that up to this time there was no ignorance, and then from this time on there has been ignorance. We cannot say it like that. So there can be no first cause, so long as we accept this conditionality of things. So however far back we go, we will always be going, and we will not come to the end of our search. So there can be no first cause. So avijja is not the first cause here. So what is the condition for avijja? Now here in the manual it is said, with the arising of the taints or asavas in those who are constantly oppressed by infatuation with decay and death, ignorance again occurs. So this is how avijja is conditioned by asavas. Now you know the asavas. There are 4 asavas and 3 ultimate realities that are represented by them. So with the arising of the asavas in the minds of those who are constantly oppressed by infatuation with decay and death, we always experience aging, we will experience death, and also the momentary death we always experience. So when we experience this, we are infatuated by this decay and death, or aging and death. So when we are oppressed by infatuation with decay and death, there arise in us the taints or asavas. So among the asavas, one is what? Ignorance, right? There are 4 asavas, and the last one is ignorance. So when we are oppressed by decay and death, we suffer old age, and at last we suffer death. And so when we suffer this, we are oppressed by this decay and death, and so there arise in us the taints or asavas. Among the asavas there is ignorance, and so when there is ignorance, and there are karma formations, and then when there are karma formations there is consciousness, and so on, and so it goes on and on like that. So that is why Paṭiccasamuppāda is to be understood as a circle and not as just something going on. So when there is jara marana, there are taints, or there are asavas arising in the minds of those who are oppressed by aging and death, and so when they arise there is the ignorance, and so when ignorance arises there arise also sankhara and so on. The great sage has thus expounded this entangled beginningless round of becoming with its 3 planes as dependent arising. So the Buddha explains this. Sankharas and so on arising in dependence on avijja and so on, this Buddha described as Paṭiccasamuppāda, or dependent origination or dependent arising. And since it is going on and on, it is called vata or round. And there is no beginning for this round of avijja and others going on, and so it is a beginningless process. So it is compared to a wheel or a circle. Now, here is a note. In the Samaditi Sutta, the Venerable Sariputta is asked to explain the cause of ignorance, and he replies that ignorance arises from the taints. When he is asked to state the cause of the taints, he replies that the taints arise from ignorance. Since the fundamental of the taints is the taint of ignorance, so among the taints, the fundamental taint is ignorance. So since the ignorance or avijja is the fundamental of the taints, the Venerable Sariputta's statement implies that the ignorance in any given existence arises from the ignorance in the preceding existence. So ignorance in this life arises from the ignorance in the preceding existence. This in effect establishes the round of becoming as beginningless, since any instance of ignorance always depends on a preceding life in which ignorance was present, entailing an infinite regression. So the explanation given by Venerable Sariputta and actually given by Bhikkhu Bodhi. So the cause of ignorance is the taints, and the cause of taints is the ignorance. So they go like a wheel. Now we come to the end of the Paṭiccasamuppāda, but there is much more to know regarding the dependent origination. Now, at the beginning of this chapter, the original author says that other teachers treat Paṭiccasamuppāda mixed with Patthāna. And he did not say how he will treat Paṭiccasamuppāda, but from what he has written, we know that he treated Paṭiccasamuppāda separately from Patthāna, 24 modes of causal relations. I think we should thank him, because he did not want us to become discouraged. Because Patthāna is a difficult Abhidhamma subject taught in Abhidhamma Piṭaka. But I think if you do not understand Paṭiccasamuppāda with reference to Patthāna, you do not understand it properly. You do not understand it well. Sometimes you may even misunderstand the Paṭiccasamuppāda. So we need to understand not just avijja conditioned sankhara, or sankharas are conditioned by avijja, but we also need to understand how they are conditioned, in what way they are conditioned, by what force they are conditioned, and so on. Now, and also we think that since we read the links one by one, we think that one link is the cause of another link. The following link is produced by the preceding link. We think something like that. Sometimes the translations also may lead us to this misunderstanding. So because of avijja, there are sankharas. Because of sankharas, there are vijnana, and so on. So if we use that translation, we may take it to mean that the avijja is the producing cause of sankhara, and sankhara is a producing cause of vijnana, or consciousness, and so on. But actually, most relations taught in Paṭiccasamuppāda are not between producer and product. It is just between, like friends supporting each other, or just supporting and not producing. For example, the Phassa-paccaya Vedana. Because there is contact, there is feeling. Do you think that feeling is produced by contact? Actually, contact and feeling arise at the same time. Although they arise at the same time, one is called a condition and the other is called something that is conditioned. So to understand that, we must understand the dependent origination with reference to Patthana. When we understand Patthana will not actually explain the links in Paṭiccasamuppāda, but when we have the knowledge of Patthana, we understand that this relationship is not between producer and product, but between friends supporting or something like that. So only when we understand that we understand Paṭiccasamuppāda correctly. But since Patthana is a difficult subject, and many, even others, are not familiar enough with Patthana, they do not touch upon Patthana when they write about dependent origination. As far as I am aware, there was only one author who treated Paṭiccasamuppāda with reference to Patthana also. And he was the German Buddhist monk, the Venerable Ñāṇatiloka. So Ñāṇatiloka was the teacher of Ñāṇaponika, again a German Buddhist monk. And Ñāṇaponika was I think your teacher? Your mentor, you said mentor, mentor of Bhikkhu Bodhi. So Venerable Ñāṇatiloka was the only Western author who explained Paṭiccasamuppāda with reference to Patthana. But his article, say now it is published as a book, small book, it is so technical that I don't think people will understand that book. It's very precise and also concise and give the correct explanation with reference to Patthana. But it's so technical, so it may be difficult to understand. But if you can find that book, I think you should read that book. So, next thing we will study is the 24 modes of relations. And after going through the 24 modes of relations, we will come back to dependent origination and try our knowledge of Patthana with dependent origination for say 2 or 3 sentences, because I cannot go in detail all the factors in dependent origination. But in the handouts I have given that in detail following the explanation given in Visuddhimagga. But again, it may be too technical for those who are not initiated to understand. So we will study the 24 conditions, and then we will come back to the dependent origination. Okay, there are 2 questions here. You taught that the mental state of feeling is, what about that, based on past experience. Then how does a child know pain when he has never experienced it before? I don't think I taught that feeling is based on past experience. maybe memory or sanya. Sanya is based on past experience, perception, not feeling. So feeling can be very present. So when pain is there, a child knows it. It's natural. And then the next one is Panadipada Viramani. When the court judge awarded death penalty on a person, is he breaking the first precept? Yes. Because that person is a human being, right, who is sentenced to death. And when he passed the judgment, although he is following the law, still in his mind there is desire to kill. So he cannot get away from this. So he is breaking the first precept. How about the people who formulate the policy? The cabinet who passed the bill in parliament, the head of state who approves the policy, and the people who is responsible for carrying out the execution. Is this group of people breaking the first precept? I think they are. Because when they formulate the policy or when they lay down the rule, they have that desire in mind. It is called intent to kill, intent for the person to die. So the person has that thought in his mind, say when he make a rule or something. And also those who carry out the execution, so they also break the first precept. So the killing can be done by oneself, or it can be done by encouraging others or asking others to do the killing. So they also break the first precept. If the answer is positive, how can we address this issue? First, there must be an intention. Second, the action must be carried out directly or indirectly. So, you try to avoid being a judge. And there are people who ask me, they work at a factory where, say, bullets or these things are produced, and ask me whether that was right livelihood. So I say it cannot be right livelihood because you are making weapons to kill beings. But there is one thing that important is the intent. If your intention is for this thing to kill a person, or may beings be killed by this thing, then you may not be free from guilt. But sometimes you have no choice. You cannot get another job, then you have to do it. So in that case, you can tell yourself, I'm just doing my duty because it is my livelihood, and so I have no intent to kill or something like that. So in that case, I think you can be free from breaking the rule. But last, I just tell them, change the job. You change the job. So that's the best thing to do. Now, according to the Buddha's teachings, how do the meditator attain the rebirth state of asanyasata, or how can one avoid it? Now, avoiding is easy, right? Not to develop that kind of jhana that will lead him to rebirth in that state. So asanyasata means beings that have asanyasata. No, not mind only. Asanyasata means body only. No mindless beings. So there are two kinds of beings, mindless beings and mind-only beings. So I don't know what you mean. So asanya, you use the word asanya-sada. So asanya-sada means no mind beings, so mindless beings. So do not practice or do not develop that kind of jhana. That will lead you to rebirth there. And if you develop jhana, that will lead you to rebirth in those states, then you will be reborn in those states after your death here with that jhana intact. How are the 5 faculties developed to become powers? 5 faculties are faith, energy, and so on. So developing them means just developing. If you think you have too little faith, and then you read books that would help you to get faith in the Buddha and so on, or listen to a Dhamma talk, or talk with a person who is knowledgeable. And if you are lacking in effort or virya, you can admonish yourself by saying, if you are lazy, you will not get the benefits of the practice, and you are following the path that is trodden by Buddhas and others, and so you should not be indolent or lazy and so on. So you admonish yourself to make more effort. And to develop mindfulness, you pay closer attention to the objects. So that is how you develop mindfulness. Try to be mindful of the object at the present moment, and you pay real close attention so that your mind is just on the object and not distracted to other objects. And if you want to develop samadhi, you develop mindfulness. So when your mindfulness becomes strong, then samadhi, you will gain samadhi. And once there is samadhi, the panya will arise. Understanding of the true nature of things will arise. And then on to the 22 faculties. Among the 22 faculties, some are those that cannot be developed, like the eye faculty, ear faculty, and so on. So they are the products of karma, and so you cannot develop them. So only the ones that can be developed are the 5 mental faculties that are involved in the practice of meditation. If Buddha teaches that all things are conditioned, then is there free will? When one performs good or bad deeds, are they conditioned by their preceding karma, or is there element of free will? There is free will. We are not destined to do this or that by any power. Now, in the Paṭiccasamuppāda, there is a link between Vedana and Tanha, feeling and attachment or craving. So there is a free will here. That means you can do something so that you do not get craving, although there is feeling. That is actually where we can break this wheel of Paṭiccasamuppāda, or wheel of round of rebirth. By practicing mindfulness, you can avoid having craving, although there is feeling. So when we practice vipassana, we are just trying that. Maybe we have pleasant feeling, then when we have pleasant feeling, we try to watch it, we try to make mental notes of it so that we do not get attached to that feeling. So by practice of mindfulness, we can avoid the craving from arising, although there is feeling. So this is a kind of free will. This just depends on us whether we let craving arise or we do not let it. And when we do something good or bad, we are not conditioned by preceding karma. And our action here is the fresh karma we acquire in this life. And this fresh karma is not the result, it is the cause of the future results. If there is free will, where does it reside? Is it the same as self? Now, it is like asking, where does consciousness reside? So we cannot say that consciousness is stored here or there. But when the conditions come together, consciousness just arises. So it is like you strike a match and there is fire. So fire is not stored in the matchbox or in the matchsticks, but when you strike these two, the fire is produced. So in the same way, consciousness or mind arises when there are conditions for it to arise. So we cannot say where it resides or where it is stored. We can just say what it depends on. Like seeing consciousness depends on the eye, hearing consciousness depends on the ear, and so on. So that dependence we can say, but we cannot say where it resides. Is it the same as self? Self is one thing, and free will or desire is another. And self, according to the teachings of the Buddha, is a non-existent thing. A person remembers the wholesome deeds. At that time he experienced bliss, joy and happiness in his mind. It is said by some that the person is experiencing the fruit or result of his wholesome karma. It is not the fruit of his wholesome karma. It is just the remembering of his wholesome karma he did in the past. A person can remember the unwholesome deeds of that time. His mind becomes restless, displeased and tormented. It is said by some that he is experiencing the fruit or result of unwholesome karma. Now, wholesome karma and unwholesome karma give results as rebirth, and also during lifetime also they can give results. But feeling regret about the unwholesome deeds one did in the past is not the result of unwholesome acts. It is just a fresh unwholesome karma a person acquires by remembering the unwholesome karma he did in the past and feeling regret or being tormented. It is said by some that he is experiencing, does this imply that memory, that being remembered, are the records from representation or result of karma? Memory is not the result of karma. Memory is the sanya, or making marks of the object. Your article on Susima Sutta of the Sayadaw Nikaya, it is not relevant here, right? Susima became an arahant without the attainment of abhinyas. He had not attained jhanas also. Right concentration of the Noble Eightfold Path refers to the development of jhanas. So how does the complete practice of right concentration fits in? Please clarify. Whether a person gets jhana or not, it is possible for that person to attain enlightenment. The Venerable Susima in this sutta is one example. And there are many examples of what are called dry vipassana practitioners who had become arahants. Now, right concentration is explained as 4 jhanas. But the Noble Eightfold Path, or the 8 factors that are called Magga or Noble Eightfold Path, are those that arise simultaneously with Magga consciousness. So at the moment of Magga consciousness, there can be no jhana. Although Magga consciousness is divided into first jhana, Magga consciousness and so on, they are not real jhanas in the technical sense of that word. A Magga consciousness resembles a jhana consciousness, and so it is called first jhana Magga consciousness, second jhana Magga consciousness, and so on. So the explanation given of right concentration consisting of the four jhanas is, I think, it's pertained to those who practice samatha meditation and then move on to vipassana meditation. But for those who do not practice samatha meditation but only vipassana, there can be no jhanas. But without jhanas, they are able to reach enlightenment. Is the absorption mind jhana the same as upadana, clinging? That is, clinging to object of meditation. Now, clinging is one thing and observing closely is another. Clinging is by attachment, or by craving, or by wrong view. So if you are attached to something, then you are clinging to it. Or if you take something to be permanent or to be a self, then you are clinging to it. But jhana is not clinging to the object, but mind being concentrated on the object. It is different from clinging. And jhana belongs to wholesome states, and clinging belongs to unwholesome states. And wholesome and unwholesome states cannot arise at the same time. So it is different. Okay.